Hi everyone, it's me, Rebecca, the Colorful Book Nester, and today I am here to kind of introduce the idea a little further than what I mentioned whenever I was talking about my goals for 2022. And mainly that is I wanted to start this kind of, series maybe? Maybe that's what I'm looking for. So what I've decided to do is out of curiosity. There is so many very well-known authors out there. And every time you go to the airport, you see these authors, their latest book, their older books, their books are everywhere on those back walls at all of those bookstores that they have at the airport. And the interesting thing is, I typically don't find anything I want to buy at the airport. And I often wondered why. And it's because it's these authors, it's the same ones over and over, and they're not ones that I read. But why is that? Why don't I read them? Well, I decided that this year I was going to try a few. And I thought I'd do one a month. And so for this very first one, I went ahead and picked it. And it also went with some other goals I'm trying to do. So for January, it was firsts was the idea. So either first in a series or the first book a author has written, or maybe it had the number one or first in the title. And this one hit with, it is the first in a series and it has first in the title. So bing, bing. It's also the authors you always see at the airport. And I don't mean the authors themselves. I mean their books. They're everywhere. And this is James Patterson. So I did just finish reading it. And now this was written, I think, in 2005. So I'm not sure. I have a feeling that this is going to be what I'm going to see in subsequent books in this particular group. Now, hold on a second, because I want to get the name of the series that this is from. I keep forgetting it. So it's the Women's Murder Club. And it's basically, the idea is that these are about 4 professional women, various professions, 4 or 5, various professions having to do with criminal justice. And so you have a detective, which is the main character that you follow. Then you have your coroner or your medical examiner. You have your assistant DA. And in this case, they also have a reporter. And so these ladies supposedly, through different means, have come together. Some have worked for a long time. In fact, 3 of the 4 have worked together on and off of other cases. They know each other professionally. And they kind of formed this group to kind of start working through a particular murder. And this is where some of my issues start happening. And it's James Patterson writing about women's relationships. And they just seemed odd. So the other part is that's a 424 page-ish book. Over 100 chapters in it, something insane like that. His chapters are like 2.5 pages. It's basically scene changes, if you think about that. You know, you kind of sit with a group of people and then you have to move. And you're going between the murderer, you're going between the detective, you're off with the press person every once in a while, the journalist. And all of that is fine. But this book didn't need to be that many pages, and it didn't need all these extra things. And that's what ultimately, now the mystery itself, the murders, they're gruesome. They're gruesome. And they're very uncomfortable because they are directed at women, as most serial killer books are. So we know he's written Alex Cross. We know that those were pretty crazy ones. Along Came a Spider and, those type of things. This one does not disappoint on that side. Disappoint or shock? Yes, it does. Did it have a good twist? It had a pretty good twist. I was flip-flopping back and forth a couple times, but it was just enough to keep me going, I'm not really sure. I'm not feeling 100% sure about this. I don't know if I've got it. But it did tell me that basically it was a pretty good murder mystery. And overall, the trying to figure it out, the detective figuring out it was well written in that aspect. What didn't work? There was probably 100 or more pages of this book that didn't even need. Number one, he had to have a romantic relationship that was like insta love, and it's, you know, between the detective and somebody who's come in to assist her, because these are very high profile deaths that have happened, particularly the first one. And he's supposed to kind of keep her under control, you know, make sure that press and public relations and all that, and that everything's followed by the book, and, you know, that they don't go unnecessarily ruffling any feathers. So you would think it's a contentious type of relationship, and it should have been, but it melted really quick. Just saying. We also go along this whole route that right at the beginning we find out she has a horrible disease, which technically she should be dead in a month. Now, this is the first of many in the series, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling things, but she doesn't die within a month. And I don't know why that's in there. And then, again, like I said, the relationship of the women, they really bring in somebody like from the press, a reporter, into their fold really quickly, sharing a lot of things and really trusting that she won't run with anything before she's told she could. I just find all of that, like these instant relationships, when everything about this woman, she keeps saying how she doesn't make good instant relations, and she has to work at keeping, you know, she doesn't have anybody at the beginning of the book, and by the end of the book she's in love and has, you know, these 4 women that they're hugging each other. And that's the other thing. I mean, some of the interactions just felt so odd for professional women in the criminology world. And it just seemed like it's like a little like how people might think sororities are, you know, at times. So I wasn't thrilled with it. I wasn't that interested in any of the people. I really didn't care. I just wanted to find out if I was right about who was the murderer. But it was an incredibly fast read, 424 pages. And part of that is because of the whole, I think the chapter thing. You know, when you realize, oh, I just have a little bit more to go for a chapter, and then, oh, this chapter is only 2.5 pages long. You really plow through it. And it isn't a lot of deep thinking. There isn't a lot to keep on. You're going to hear the evidence again and again. So it's not even things you have to really remember. There's like 1 or 2 things, some of the key elements. Yeah, they only mentioned that once and then went on. And I'm like, what? Ended up being a very big key element of evidence. But I don't know. I have to say it was a fun little romp in a way, except for I didn't enjoy any of the relationships. So unless he can write women relationships better, if he decides that he doesn't have to have a romance in these books, I don't have to have a detective falling in love. I really don't. I don't care if she's a woman or a man. 9 times out of 10, you don't have a man falling in love, especially to the detriment or possible detriment. Now, you know, of the, you know, it was just unprofessional. I mean, and it was instant. I mean, seriously, they were only working on this for like a week. And other than him being really good looking, I mean, there wasn't anything that he did that was just amazing. So I don't know. That part I couldn't have. So this was one of my first authors. He is one of the top authors. And this is based on, it's like fiction.com. I'll put where I got this from, and I'll show a little picture of the ranking, which is basically for these authors is, you know, books and dollar amount. So that is not commenting on their writing capability. That isn't commenting on their storytelling. It's just the masses seem to love them. And I have a feeling it'd be very formulaic, which makes me go, I want to go through more. And if one catches my attention, I'll read a second in his book. Patterson, I'm going to hold off. My husband does have another Patterson that he says he'd like me to read, which I might do later in the year. But for right now, I want to go forward. And for February, I'm going to be doing David Baldacci. Now, I have a book that was given to me probably, 11 years ago, maybe 12 years ago now. No, 8 or 9 years. Maybe 9 years. And it's The Whole Truth. And it's a David Baldacci. And I figured I'd just pick this one up and read it. However, I wanted to put out there that if anybody has like a real recommendation of a really good David Baldacci that you really liked, I would like to read his more popular, because I'd like to read his strongest book and see if that catches. This one, like I said, literally is just here on my shelf. I already have it. That's why I was going to go for it. I know he does quite a few series as well, but if you read him or know of him, if you have any recommendations, please feel free, put them down below, because I kind of want to do that with these authors, because 90% of these authors, I don't even know what genre they're writing in until I go and research them. I have, more coming down. I'm trying to do them kind of in order. I think March is going to be Nora Roberts, so there's going to be that. And then what's funny is J.D. Robb is the 4th highest one, and that's also Nora Roberts. That's her pseudonym. So I would think you put her in 3rd spot and 4th spot, and you put her together, she might beat out these other guys. But anyway, I did notice that most of them are all mysteries, like the one that I read even for James Patterson. These kind of, there's always a murder, and so most of the authors in the top 10 are definitely that. One of them is one I might have to skip, but I will talk about that when I come to it, and I'll tell you why I'm probably going to have to skip it. But anyway, I am going to keep trying. If you know of any David Baldacci that you really think I should read, let me know for February, and that will be my next author at the airport. So until then, it's bye for now, and remember, keep turning those pages.